Okay, I'm going to let the people in. Here they come.
Well, welcome everybody. Good evening. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Charles and Ari and Jean. Oh, Lillian, you are definitely a veteran, right? Eva, Deanna, welcome everybody. This is Vision Forward's Learning Lab, and we have Kara with us tonight, and she is going to be doing her fourth session of a four-part series called What I Wish I Would Have Said. And as we're waiting for folks to join in, just a reminder for everybody that we do live stream this event. So if you would prefer not being on camera while we're live streaming, this would be the time to turn off your camera, although we're just happy to see your smiling faces. Hello, Charles. Hello, Elizabeth. Ziamara and Beth. Hi. And George. Hello. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Hi. Hi, Mira. Hello, welcome. And Randall. Hello, welcome, welcome. And Sandra, oh my gosh, Cheryl and Merritt. Merritt, we actually finally touched base today. And Matthew, welcome everybody. So while we're waiting for folks to join, let me just remind everybody what Vision Forward 2.0 is. So it is a coordinated set of programs designed to help volunteers and community members and conversational activists, which is what I consider all of you, to communicate clearly, calmly, and persuasively about democracy, especially in moments of confusion, misinformation, or division. These Vision Forward 2.0 programs are practical, skill-based, and grounded in real conversations happening in our communities right now. And as I mentioned earlier, tonight's session is our facilitator is Kara. And the actual name of the Learning Lab series is What I Wish I Would Have Said. So it's one of four different lines of effort that we have with Vision Forward 2.0, which grew out of our original Vision Forward messaging series. So looks like folks are still coming in. What I'm going to do as we're waiting for people to join us is I'm going to turn it over to Bill Davis. Bill, as you know, is our fearless leader with Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action. And he is going to remind us about all the exciting things that are going to be happening on Saturday and just give a good overview of all the different programs that Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action does. You saw some of that flashing on the screen, and there we go. So on to Bill.
Bill, you're on mute.
Yep, I was just gonna say, you're on mute, Bill.
All right. Am I unmuted?
You are.
Okay. And can you see our screen?
Affirmative. We can see
Uh,
it.
all right. Well, welcome to NWSOFA, which stands for Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action. That's we started about 14 years ago in the Northwest suburbs of Chicago and joined Indivisible about 8 years ago. And now we are nationwide. We are one of 2,700 and growing chapters of Indivisible all across the country. We get 3 to 4 new chapters every day. Every one of those little dots is a chapter. And I'm told now that there are 2 chapters in every state, all operating relatively autonomously within the Indivisible framework. Our goal of these events, and we publish a little over 600 events on Zoom and live every year. Our goal is to help you, the attendees, understand the facts, help you sharpen your arguments with your friends, your neighbors, folks that you're having political discussions with, and then strengthen your opportunity to communicate with your audience. particularly if you're a group leader or somebody in the leadership role of an indivisible 501 or a move on group. We are organized on the twin snowflake principle. Left-hand side is our communications team snowflake. The right-hand side is our issue-based snowflakes. They're all constantly growing and evolving. This last year, we added 9 new issue teams. Those are the ones in the center circle area, which include Vision Forward, but does not include I wish I would have said. What I wish I would have said. That will be added if it continues and grows on a monthly basis. On the left-hand side is all the various ways that we communicate with you. Almost all of them are virtual, with newsletters to your emails, texting to you, etc. It probably seems like a lot, but we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to take advantage of some of these programs. We are led by 30 all-volunteer leads all across our country here, from Chris down in Texas to let's see, where is people aren't moving around. I just can't find them. I was going to say Beth, but I just realized Beth is not on our leadership team yet, but she will be shortly. Anyway, this is our secret sauce. And these groups here are involved in both the communication side and the issue sides. Almost everybody heads up a issue team. People contribute in their various ways to the communications team. So some new stuff that we've experimented with and is working out very well. Of course, QR codes, everybody discovered those a few years back. But now our QR code, if you were to take a picture of this right now, would take you to our link tree. And each one of those little yellow lines there is a different way to find out information or to go to a source of information of NWSOFA. And there are actually 15 of those lines. And they'll take you to our website. They'll take you to our, if you'd like to just sign up and be part of the organization officially, they'll take you to our Substack, to our Blue Sky, our YouTube accounts, etc. Very effective and very cool. Talking about our YouTube accounts, today we are recording this and it's on what's called live YouTube. And it's on our website, NWSOFA.org. You just click on that. Click on the tab that says YouTube channel, and you can go up and you will find about 400 videos. You want to click on the area that says live. You can see it right in the center there, live. And that will show you the most current videos. And you can jump in and you can get caught up. If you need to take a bathroom break and you come back and you think you missed something, you can always go to the live. It's about 35 seconds delay from the actual recording. Also, just recently, we created a NWSOFA Threads account where you can get logoed wear of all different types of stuff, from hoodies to t-shirts to hats. I'm wearing one of the new hats right now. And they deliver in 4 to 5 days, 5 to 6 days, I guess. So if you were to order today, you may get it by No King's Day. And that brings us to No King's Day, which is Monday, or which is Saturday. It feels like Monday. Saturday in 6 days, all across the country. There are literally over 3,000 events. Our number of events totally across the country have exceeded No King's 2 already by about 15-20%. The reservations also have exceeded No King's 2 by about the same percentage. And we are still adding new locations every day. So the one that we are showing are the one that we're going to have at Arlington Heights. But since we're national, almost everybody here has their No King's Day. Some people are going to be doing their No King's Day from their home, some from their cars, driving around, honking, some people on the ground, some people singing, bagpiping, who knows what. Well, so the last slide here is about question and answer. And I'm just going to ask you to ignore this right now because for this, what I wish I would have said, Kara has a specific instruction that she'll have for this program. So thank you for listening. And this has been a word from your sponsor.
Thanks, Phil. Okay, so yeah, so I want to just talk a little bit about Kara. So I know many of you know Kara from our coffee and conversation sessions primarily, and what you may not have remembered is that Kara had you can go ahead to the next slide. I think I already did that. Yeah. Kara had kind of an unusual pathway in that she initially thought she wanted to be a engineer when she grew up, and later discovered that her real talent was in being a communication coach. So she transitioned. She has a great love of cooking. And one of the things that is kind of her trademark signature thing is that she has the magic wand. But we learned tonight that Kara couldn't find her magic wand. So as a good, I always have my backup magic wand, and you'll notice little sparkling lights. This was from our bridge brigade the other night. So anyway, that's Chris's magic wand. And the other thing I've learned a lot during these sessions, just like the ones that we do with Braver Angels, but some of my big takeaways from Kara's session is, obviously part of what she is doing is giving us very specific skills and an opportunity to practice and what she calls moving the needle, taking a person from wherever they're at and just moving the needle just a little bit in terms of how you interact in your conversation with them. And that's real important as we're trying to convince people as to why, let's say, just, talking about political piece, is that why they would want to vote kind of on the pro-democracy, for a pro-democracy position. The other thing I learned from Kara is don't argue, don't argue, don't argue. So that's another big one. And the other one that stays in my brain all the time is you don't have to attend every argument that you're invited to. I use that all the time with my dad now. I just opt out. I'm like, I'm opting out of this argument. So without any further ado, I will turn it over to Rebecca, who's going to do kind of go through some ground rules and just group norm things before we actually start the session. Rebecca.
Thanks, Chris. So before we get started with today's program, couple of ground rules, which if you are an NWSOFA vet or a newcomer, may be unlike other meetings that you might attend. So because this is a learning lab, we do ask folks to stay focused, including in the chat. Keep the chat focused on the materials shared. We know that there's constantly breaking news happening in the background. So even if something crazy does happen to occur while we're on the call today, let's keep the chat focused on the material at hand. So with that, we do ask folks to stay engaged with the material, try to avoid multitasking. At times, Kara will be asking for audience participation. And just as a heads up, we will have one breakout room. It's towards the end. I would say it's in the last third of the meeting. So hope folks are able to stick around for that. Lastly, if you have questions, please put those in the chat and preface your question with the word question so that it's really easy for us to spot. And we'll either answer it at the end or we'll address those as need be. So I think with that, we will go ahead and I'll hand it off to Kara to get started.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Rebecca and Chris and Bill, our sponsor, and all the breakout room moderators And there's a chat monitor, there's a hand monitor, there's a lot of people behind this effort. And the good news is I found my wand while Bill was talking. I was panicking at the pre-meeting. I'm like, I don't have my wand. Do you think it'll still go okay? And it fell behind my stack of clean laundry here. Anyways, so thank you to everyone to put on this session. This is session 4 out of a series of 4 sessions. We are talking about what's next. We will talk about and get some feedback at the end of the session on what you would like to do next. I've offered to possibly do some office hours where it's not new material, just answering questions kind of thing, and we have some other options. So if you haven't been to a session before, you still will learn some stuff and you'll still be able to participate. But the material does build on from session to session. So if you attend this one and you think, oh, I wish I had gone to the previous ones, we might redo them sometime. So this is how this workshop came together. This workshop is it's developed from material that I use at work. I have a workshop at work about having better conversations. And we just adapted it for the political conversations, which are a little bit specialized, but on the other hand, the skills are kind of general. But here's some special things that might happen with political conversations. You know, have you ever had a conversation and you say just one thing and it kind of goes awry off the wall? Or you get into that kind of stuck dialogue between them where you're not really listening to each other. Those types of things can happen with any conversation, but they're more likely when you're talking about politics, some of those things. Okay, so next slide, please. So this is our process. Each session, we start with talking about our homework. And so we'll do that this time. We introduce a few new skills. We share examples. Tonight we have a role play. And then we provide you a chance to practice in class. And as Rebecca said, we really expect to have some time at the end for just general questions on scenarios, things you're struggling with. So go ahead and put questions in the chat, and at the end we'll start answering those. Okay, next slide, please. So here's our agenda. I highlighted the new topic, which is skill 4. We're really going to unpack that one, but we'll level set our previous material, kind of go through it maybe quickly, but just make sure we're refreshing our minds. Then we're going to do a role play and breakout room practice. Next slide, please. Okay. Oh, I'm glad I put this slide in here to remind me. So from the very beginning, when we named this, which by the way, I had a different name, Bill kept messing up the title. And then he kept calling it what I wish I would have said. And I thought, that one sounds better. It sounds like Dr. Seuss, doesn't it? And so we went with that title. And I have promised for 4 sessions that I would bring a poem. And I have a poem, a Dr. Seuss-like poem of what I wish I would have said. And we will do it at the end. And the reason I picked the Sneetches are my very, very favorite Dr. Seuss story. It's not really the most popular one, but many of you have heard of it. And it really, even as a very small child, I got the point of it, which was it's a story about accepting others, and it's really relevant to today of the warring tribes that we have going. So it's a good story. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's last week's homework. We're going to debrief on that first. It was Celeste Headley's TED Talk on how to make America talk again. And this one was from 2016, but it's still very relevant today. And then we were practicing. So we're going to touch on both of those. And it's going to be a lot of your input. So next slide, please. So on this video, Make America Talk Again, you can click to the next part here. The question that I have for everybody who has done the homework is, which key points resonated with you from this TED Talk? What did you hear? Go ahead and raise your hand and we'll have about 5 minutes to talk about this. What did you pick up from this video?
I can get us started. I watched it today. Nothing like procrastinating on the homework, but um I watched it today and I really it really struck me how, I mean, as you mentioned, it's from 2016, like pretty soon after the election. And here we are in 2026, and it's this, we're in the same boat still. Uh, you know, we're probably even farther apart than we were a decade ago. Um, and yet there's value in needing to be able to talk to each other, and also a great deal of difficulty making that happen. So I definitely see the value in this course, obviously.
Yes. Thanks so much, Rebecca. Yeah, it seems so urgent at the time, and then you go, that was 2016. It's even more urgent now. Looks like Lillian has her hand up.
I do. Are we not surprised? Um, there were so many things in this, and
Good.
it's really hard. It was really hard for me to pick one, but because I've practiced this so much, I think I have to decide on number 4 of her 4 points that she made. And the first one was, don't try to change someone's mind. That's really hard, but I've gotten that pretty well. And don't prejudge, do show respect. But the hardest one for me is becoming stick it out. I'm getting a little worn out.
Yes.
Yes. However, I intend to keep on going. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Lillian.
much, Kara, for these. These are great.
Thanks, Lillian. Joe, you're next.
Yeah, hi. I may be confusing this with another one of the videos, but one of the things I thought was her. Um, she said, people aren't the politicians they vote for. Um, and that was the other one, as Lillian said, don't argue, don't try to convince people. But I had usually tied people, if they voted for someone, I won't name names, that defines them. And I've come to learn that that's not always a fair assessment. And you need to understand the person more than just the voting pattern.
Yes, thank you, Joe. That was one of the lines that I wrote down when I watched it. People are not the politician they voted for. Who else? Anyone else have some thoughts on what stood out to them? Okay, I don't see anybody else. So just double check me on that. I don't know if, but if not, we can go to the next slide. Okay, I actually picked out 2 things that she talked about, and she gave them names, which I thought was great. I'm going to start using these names. And the first one was the backfire effect. And this is her exact words that how she described it. If you believe something and someone presents evidence that refutes our belief, it backfires. It just makes us believe it's stronger, whatever that is. And so I'm pretty sure I've talked about this like every single session. The idea that when you you're trying to convince them, you're giving the facts of the figures, or you're arguing back with them, telling them they're wrong, those kinds of things, it doesn't work well. It's not effective. And I guess this is like the psychological impact of it. So I also looked it up in what it means online. Like I Googled it, and this is what they said about the backfire effect. It is where you are presenting facts that contradict a person's deeply held beliefs, and it causes them to strengthen or double down on their original, often mistaken position. And so it's really that advice, don't argue or don't try to change their minds kind of thing. Don't try to convince them, I think is borne out by that backfire effect. Let's see. I think I had a quote on this. Oh, here's my quote that came out also from Google. No one ever convinced anyone that they were wrong in a single conversation by using more data. I don't know who said that. Okay, we can go to the, so the backfire effect is important to keep in
Well, what
mind.
are you
Next
supposed to
slide.
do? What are you supposed to do instead of presenting facts?
Everything in this workshop, everything else in this workshop.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next one. Good question. Halo and horns effect. She also mentioned this one. And I've known about this one for a long time because we were always warned as a manager to be aware of this. Like a person does one thing really, really great, and then you rate them great on everything, or the opposite. They do one mistaken thing, and then you think they're below average on whatever. So this is the situation where a single positive or negative trait dominates our perception of the whole person, influencing our overall judgment and colors, how we hear what they say. And I loved her analogy there. She said, if somebody comes in with a Bernie Sanders t-shirt, you're already primed to hear what they're saying in a certain way. Or if they come in with a MAGA hat, same thing, you're already primed. And so if you kind of keep this in mind, that there is this halo and horns effect, and try to, interfere with that and make sure you're being open-minded and welcoming to people. So, what's my quote on this one? Okay. Well, I circled two quotes that came back. One was, don't let the shine blind you. I don't know, that's kind of sounds like a teenager saying that, but don't let the shine blind you. And then the other one was, charisma covers a multitude of sins. And that sounds like the nuns from my Catholic school. So, and the common one, of course, is things like don't judge a book by its cover, stuff like that. All right, so great discussion. We can move to the next slide. Okay, the other part of the homework was just practicing our skills, the 4 skills that are listed on the slide. Plus, we also went in great depth the last time about 7 ways to avoid arguments. So you were supposed to practice these skills, for the last 2 weeks. Plus, also kind of notice, did you notice arguments about to happen and you avoided them, or even just notice them happening with 2 people, like, oh, there's this argument happening that you might not have noticed before. And again, an argument, let me define it. Argument is, it's not 2 people disagreeing. You can disagree and have a great conversation. It is when you're negating each other. Negate, 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 negate. I'm right, you're wrong. That kind of pattern or tone. That's what makes it an argument. And when I say stop arguing, that's what I mean. But let's put the timer at 5 minutes. I think I had 5 minutes for this. And raise your hand and share what you've been practicing the last 2 weeks, your successes, or even just your missteps that might help us learn. We have one hand up so far. Dr. Chris, I know you guys are thinking about it. Dr. Chris.
Yeah, so like I said, that one statement about you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to has really resonated with me. Because I do have a family member that intentionally does something to kind of pick a fight, I'll say, whether it's by text or otherwise. And so it's been very freeing, I have to say, to just kind of walk away from that and redirect the conversation, which is now what I do, because I'm like, otherwise, like already know going in that the reaching out isn't done with good intent. It's not done with the purpose of having a constructive dialogue. It's intended to be baiting. So that advice, Kara, has helped me a lot. Thanks.
Oh, thanks. I have heard that a lot from people I coach where they go, oh, it's so liberating. I don't have to respond. I don't have to take the bait. It's just, it can be so healthy. Oh, Melissa.
Hi.
Hi.
Because I am a psychotherapist, I do a lot of reflecting back, but I have to remind myself to keep doing it because otherwise I could get tell people too much about what I think and just this week, there's at least one, probably several instances where I reflected something back and I learned something that I didn't know about them, that I didn't understand about why they were doing something. So this would sort of apply to in the political sphere, even though I'm not meeting anyone right now who doesn't agree with me. That's okay. I'm not meeting a lot of people right now. I'm just in a work situation, but yeah, I think we can learn more about where people are coming from and what motivates them, why they are voting the way they did or not voting. So that can be very informative and help us have a better conversation.
Absolutely. Thanks, Melissa. Marta, you're next. Oh,
Sorry.
you need.
There we go. Yep. I've been practicing it with both my mother and father-in-law have been in and out of the hospital, and their care situations are changing. And there's a lot of loving family members trying to figure out what to do. So I would say I've had a lot of practice with this in a personal situation. Everybody's got strong ideas with trying to do a little bit more of, oh, that's interesting. What makes you think that this living would be better than another option? So it does have application in other like fraught areas of life. I feel like it's been very helpful. So I've been getting a lot of practice.
Oh, that's so great. And so both of you have mentioned like using it on non-political conversations. And absolutely, first of all, I encourage people to practice in non-political conversations first, because you'll brush up on the skills and it'll get easier and easier, more automatic. And Marta, your situation where you have, you're really, there's problem solving happening and a lot of, emotion around that issue. And it's so, people step in to just say, we need to do this or this, instead of, backing up, let's listen, let's reflect, let's talk about options or talk about how we're feeling about this first. Very powerful. All right. Anyone else have some examples to share? Okay, if not, we can move to the next slide. Okay, we are going to quickly go through a few just foundational things just to get our minds in place. We talked very early on about what is an effective conversation, and I kind of defined it as, each person is heard and understood. The relationship has been preserved. We haven't damaged the relationship, and then the goal of the conversation has been met. And that could be, again, problem solving, making a decision, just sharing information, providing support. There's so many different goals of conversations, and an effective one is one in which that goal has been met. And our goal is going to be, next slide, please. Our goal with political conversations is to move the needle wherever they're at on our scale, whether they're allies, passive allies, neutral, or even in the opposition, just having a conversation that can plant a little seed, disrupt a little bit of their reasoning, move them to neutral. Just moving them to be ambivalent about something is a big success. It is a big, successful conversation in my book. And so that's what you're looking to do. Next slide, please. And then, as we know, that change often happens by building up, building up, building up, and then there's a tipping point. And so that's what we're looking for with people. You never know when the tipping point is going to come. It may never come, but it may come. And people naturally kind of stay on their position, but they become more and more ambivalent, and then they can make a big jump in their position on things. So keep that in mind for every conversation. Next slide, please. And here's my stop arguing, stop arguing. Again, arguing is just when you're going back and forth and negating each other. Negate, negate, negate. I'm right, you're wrong. That to me is, don't take the bait. It's not effective. It's really not effective with political conversations. And so use the skills. I'm trying to give you the whole set, a whole toolbox of skills, other skills and other options for you. Next part of this slide is, think about, do I want to be right or do I want to be effective? If you want to be effective, I think in almost every case, these skills are better than arguing. So next slide, please. And we talked before about why do people vote a certain way. And these are all the reasons, possible reasons. It's not a full list, but I mean, it's just something to keep in mind that people don't, micro analyze all the issues and have a big chart and say the pros and cons of every issue, and then they pick which candidate to vote for or which party to vote for. It just doesn't happen like that. What they have is, ever since being a child, an identity with one or party or the other. They might have a family or a community that's kind of leaning one way or the other. Their church or religion or faith may be impacting them. So these are the reasons that people vote a certain way. And if you keep that in mind when you're having conversations, you'll be more effective. Next slide, please. Okay, this is kind of just the idea based on those reasons from the last slide of why we vote certain ways. People decide how they're going to vote, and then they justify it. And so you have I like this first one, you have a deep desire to be right all of the time. You will try to be right all the time. And so that just helps us kind of figure out a different way to approach them rather than arguing the issues, the facts. Okay, next slide, please. These are our 4 skills. We are going to unpack skill number 4 tonight. Next slide, please. This was the first skill, listening, and our funny video on that. If you missed our first session, this is a cute little video to look up. Please pass the butter from The Big Bang Theory. And next slide, the key with listening, it's not just being silent. It's listening, but also acknowledging that what they're saying, and showing that you're listening, and also listening with the right intent. You want to listen with the intent to understand, not the intent to reply. Next slide, please. And skill number 2 is reflect back. We have some good examples on this slide, and we did some good practice of that before. When I'm hearing you say is such and such, and you're just taking one small piece of what they said, reflecting back to them, and keeping the conversation going. It's a way to show you're listening and to make sure you got it right. I think I'm hearing you say this. Is that correct? Next slide, please. Skill 3, we talked about in detail. Guide them to self-discover rather than trying to push your opinions on them and try to point stuff out to them. Guide them, ask questions, ask powerful questions, steer the conversation so that they can think it through and they can articulate it. It's so much more effective that way. Next slide, please. This defines what our powerful questions are: open-ended, leading to insights, and enabling their own self-discovery. Next slide. We talked a little bit about deep canvassing. One aspect of it, it's not the whole thing, but one aspect that's really effective is having people explore their own personal experiences. So these are all powerful questions as well, but you can talk about when did you first come to believe that? Have you had a similar experience? Tell me about when that happened to you. And it's a good conversational technique to really understand the other person and to have a good connection with them. Next slide, please. And then steering the conversation is just intentionally watching for words, phrases, ideas, emotions, and using that to ask powerful questions or to explore their personal experiences. Okay, so that's skill number 3. And the next slide is jumping into skill number 4, ask permission to share. So this is the one we're going to unpack tonight. This is the new material. And you can click to the next part that appears. Before we jump too much into this, ask permission to share. What I want to stress to people is, do you really need to share your opinion to move the needle? I'm going to challenge you. Okay. It's not often that you have somebody try to teach you about something and then say, please, please, please don't use it very often. But I guess that's what I'm trying to do. Do you really need, this is about sharing your opinion, but do you really need to share your opinion to move the needle? Just question yourself about that. Make sure that that's the only way, because like we've talked about before, sometimes you lose effectiveness, you lose influence, and so on when you're trying to push your own political opinion. So use sparingly is my message on this. Okay, but let's jump into it. Next slide, please. I'm breaking this down into 3 steps. So, before you share your political opinion, there's ways to prepare the other person to hear, and then there's ways to validate that they're really ready to hear, and then you ask permission, and then you share. So those are the steps. Next slide, please. So we're going to unpack this. Step 1 is prepare the other person to hear. So couple things. One is to meet them where they are. We already kind of talked about that on the move the needle little dial that we had about you're going to talk to a lot of different people, and they may be in different places on that dial. They may be opposing your perspective. They may be neutral, and so on. And so wherever they are, we're going to meet them at that place. Here's a definition. I looked this up of meet them where they are. Acknowledging, accepting, and respecting someone without judgment or immediate pressure to change. And I think people will feel that your first step is to meet them where they are before you, and the key word there is immediate, without immediate pressure to change. We are trying to change their mind, but we're going to do it incrementally. The second one is model the behavior you want to see in others. And modeling is the most effective way to influence others. as you practice these skills, as you listen more often than talk, as you reflect back and really make sure that you show them that you understand them, as you ask powerful questions that really probe into what they're really thinking, they're going to start doing it back to you. When you model that, others will model it back to you, and it will really enrich your conversations. So it was Ralph Waldo Emerson that said, I had to look this up. I didn't know it was Ralph Waldo Emerson, but he said, what you do speaks so loud that I can't hear what you say. So set an example is good. Last one on the list here is just again, using skills 1, 2, and 3, until you have built that trust with them and are having consistently healthy, effective conversations. So those are all ways to prepare the other person to hear your perspective. Next slide, please. Step 2 is validating that they are ready. So if somebody says to you, is talking about their opinions, whatever, political opinions, and then at the end they go, what do you think? Okay, so this could be a setup, you guys. You think that means they're ready to hear you. They may or may not be ready to hear you. So they say, what do you think? Okay, but if you start talking and then they interrupt you 2 sentences in to tell you why you're wrong or to tell you why they disagree, they're not really ready, right? Okay, so how can you validate that they are really ready? There's a couple things that are kind of evidence that you can look for. One is that you are consistently having healthy, effective conversations where there's a lot of give and take. It's not tense. It's really, you've built trust. So that's one piece of evidence. And then the second one is when you start hearing back your key points. And let me give you an example of this. This is like a work example, but I am a facilitator at work. I'm a coach and a facilitator. I don't have skin in the game. I'm just there to help them. But when I first come on a new team, they don't always see that, right? And so I usually use the word neutral. I'm a neutral facilitator. I'm a neutral facilitator. Hey, I'm going to do this because I'm a neutral facilitator. Oh, I don't really have an opinion on that because I'm a neutral facilitator. Save it over and over again until I start hearing them hear back. And so one team I remember very clearly, it was a new team, when they went, oh, we can't really decide this. There's a lot of tension. And they're trying to decide it as a team. And somebody said, hey, let's get Kara to run the meeting as we decide this because she's the neutral person. And I went, there you go. There you go. They got it. And so I would encourage you, that's a, kind of example from a work situation, but I would encourage you to think about that as you're putting your ideas out there. When you start hearing them say it back, it means they've absorbed them. And a couple examples are some phrases that we've used before in this workshop. One is, it's a false narrative to think that there's only 2 solutions. And I've used that again and again. It's a false narrative. It's a false narrative. It's a false narrative. And I'll tell you what, I was on vacation with a big group of people for a whole week. And I must have said it. It's a common thing that comes out of my mouth. It's a false narrative. They come at me. What do you think about whatever? Okay, it's a false narrative that there's only 2 sides to this. And by the end of the week, I was sitting there and listened to somebody across the room say that to somebody. They came up and they were talking about something, and he said, "Oh, it's just a false narrative that there's 2 sides to that." I went, "There you go, there you go." So think about how you could do that. You're putting these ideas out there. You're planting those seeds, and listen for them when you hear that person or that group, like saying it back, then you know that they've heard you. So just say it till you hear it back from them. So there's a couple ways you can validate that they're ready. And then the second 2 are ways you can kind of take action to test it out, whether they're ready. One is ask them to reflect back what you've said. And so the way I usually do this is, hey, I just was explaining all this stuff. I don't know if I explained it well. Could you tell me what you heard from me? So that's kind of puts it on you. Like instead of, hey, would you repeat it? I don't think you get what I said, It's more about, hey, I've just been talking a lot. Did you really get, I'm not sure if I communicated that well. Could you repeat it back to me? So that's a way to test it out. And then the last one is similar, but it's asking for an example. Hey, I was talking about this concept. I'm not sure I really explained that well. Could you give me an example, and then I'll know I explained it well. All right, so here's some ways. You probably have some other ideas, but in which you can validate that they're really ready to hear you. So, not an exhaustive list. Next slide, please. And then you're ready. If you've prepared them to hear your perspective, you've validated that they're ready to hear it, then you're ready to ask them to share your opinion. And I like to always ask first. It's good practice. So it sounds something like this. I've had a similar experience. Would it help to hear about it? Would you like to hear about it now or later? So that's just what it sounds like. Another could be, oh yeah, I heard about that also. I read about something that relates to that. Would you like to hear about what I read now or later? I like to say now or later at the end because it gives them a little bit of an option to say, oh, I'm kind of busy. Let's do that later, which is easier to say than, no, I don't want to hear what you have to say. So, okay, so that's ask permission to share. Oh, I forgot. There's a couple things I had in here. Once they say yes, yeah, tell me all about that. It's helpful to use I statements. I think this, I've had this, I think this works better than this or whatever, instead of dogmatic statements. So what's an example of that? Instead of saying healthcare is a human right and we should have Medicare for all. Okay, that's a dogmatic, maybe kind of statement. You could say, which, as we all know, invites an argument, right? You could say, well, how I feel about it is I'm willing to pay a little extra in taxes to make sure everybody has health insurance. I'm willing to do that. That's my personal feelings on the issue. So it's kind of softening it, but it's using it. It's about, I feel this way, which is harder to argue with. This is how you feel or what you think. And then sharing personal experiences is a very powerful, effective way to get your opinions, views across without being, with conveying a message, with it being very, what do I want to say, not too much in their face, that you might be disagreeing with them, because it's your personal story. Or you could share a story from others. I heard this story and it really resonated with me. This is something that happened to others, but it really resonated. All right, so that's skill 4, unpacked total conversation about how to do skill 4. We are going to quickly run through the 7 ways to avoid an argument, and then so this is material that we've covered before, but I wanted to get it fresh in your mind, because the next thing we're going to do, me and Chris are going to do a role play, and then we're going to have everybody debrief, and I want you to be looking for, in this role play, the 4 skills that we just talked about, and also these 7 ways to avoid an argument, and see what you can catch in our role play about how we do this. So next slide, please. Number 1 was set the tone. If you're not calm, do not respond. Number 2, next slide, was yes and we had some examples of how to do yes and. This is showing agreement with some part of what they say. I see what you mean. I can see this is important to you, and don't negate. Next slide. Using softeners, again, using probably, might, some people think, or I'm not sure, but it might be this way, softens it so that it's harder to trigger an argument. Next slide, please. Give permission to see more than two sides. And here's some good ways. There's the false narrative thing. Two things can be true at once is a good one. Even just saying, oh, this issue is so complicated, it's nuanced, just sets you up for a conversation that isn't arguing two sides, two extreme sides of an issue, which happens often. Next slide, please. Hold space for them to agree. And this is a quote about allowing them to retreat. Don't back them into a corner. You know, give them that space so they can come towards you and you can meet in the middle. Next slide. Oh, go hypothetical. So this is when somebody wants to argue the details of something, this happened or this is right, that you just go, well, I don't really know if that's true or not, but let's just go hypothetical. If this happened, what would you think? And if this had happened, what would you think? So it's a way to kind of stop arguing about maybe the details of something and it's kind of a higher level thing. And next slide, please, is number 7. The last one is observations, not evaluations. It's much harder to argue if you're saying, I observed this thing happen, than a value judgment on what happened. So those are 7 skills in your toolbox. I shouldn't call them skills because we have the 4 skills. There's 7 ways to avoid an argument. To pull out of your toolbox as needed. Okay, are you guys ready for the role play? Take notes. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so we have listed the 4 skills and the 7 ways to avoid an argument. And me and Chris are going to do a little role play. And what I want you to do is write down what you caught from us in terms of using these. It'll be mostly me, I guess, but I'm going to be using these skills and these 7 ways to have a good conversation and to avoid an argument. Okay, Dr. Chris, are you ready?
I am ready. Okay. So, did you hear that a protester was shot in Minneapolis today?
Well, yeah, I did hear about it. It's scary to me to have violence like that in our country. How are you feeling about it?
Actually, it makes me mad that protesters are interfering with ICE. It's just so unpatriotic. They don't have a right to interfere with law enforcement.
Yeah, I think you're right that, well, you can protest and even film them legally, but I think you're right, it is illegal to interfere with an arrest.
Yeah, right. She was interfering with ICE. She was blocking them with her car, don't you think?
Well, I only watched the video once, and I couldn't really tell whether she was intentionally blocking them from an arrest.
Well, it looked that way to me. She shouldn't have even been there.
It's just so tragic. I heard that she had just dropped off her 6-year-old son at school.
Yeah, I know. It is sad for that little boy. He lost his mother for no good reason.
Yeah, I agree that it didn't have to happen. I think both sides could have done better. Clearly, it could have been prevented. I mean, I don't know if she intended to block them or not, but let's just say she was blocking ICE. Do you think she deserved to die for that?
Well, of course not.
You know, one thing I did notice in the video was that ICE agent running up to the car, and I can tell you, if a policeman had ran up to my car with a weapon out, trying to open my door and drag me out, that would have really freaked me out. I might have panicked too. Have you ever been in a situation like that? Caught in the middle of a riot or a protest?
Not really. Have you?
Yeah, once when I was in Chicago. Do you want to hear about it? Do you want to hear now or later?
Let's do it later. I need to focus on my driving until we get there.
Okay.
I just think that people need to stop protesting and let ICE do their job. I want them to deport people that are here illegally.
Sounds like you are very concerned about people here illegally. When do you first recall being concerned about like immigration issues?
Well, don't you remember when we were kids and the farm workers would come to town? My parents would always warn me to stay away from them.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. So, you were taught as a kid to be wary of Hispanics.
Yeah, I guess so. But I wouldn't see I don't think my parents are racist, although they did want strong immigration policies even back when Reagan was president.
Oh, were your parents supporters of Reagan?
Oh yeah. They always voted Republican and they really liked Reagan.
Oh, well, yeah. So you probably picked that up as a kid. Man, we were only about 7 or 8 when Reagan was first elected. Wow, that's pretty young to be thinking about politics.
Okay, we are here. So tell me that story. Were you in a riot?
Well, it wasn't a riot, but it was a protest. I was in Chicago doing Christmas shopping, and I come out of the store and there was a big protest, and they were blocking Michigan Avenue, and there were policemen there, and I was glad that they handled it with restraint because they were just directing traffic around the protesters who had blocked the street rather than cracking down on them. And I was able to walk out and get to my hotel safely. So I was very glad of that. Okay, and scene. Oh gosh. Isn't that fun? Don't you like to role play, you guys? You're gonna role play in like a little bit here. Um, okay, so I would like to debrief on that role play. Which of the 4 skills or the 7 ways did you observe us doing? Anybody but Dr. Chris can answer.
Hi, this is Myra. I like Kara so skillfully reflected back and kind of agreed about, the violence is not good. Uh, but then it didn't mean that you gave in to her point of view. That was really cool.
Thanks, yeah. Reflected back, Myra, do you have an example of that? Uh,
Oh, let's see. I
it's
kind of forget
okay.
how you stated it, but something like, yes, the violence is not good, or I can't remember now what you said, but whatever
Okay.
you said at the moment, I thought, oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But you kind of agreed, you agreed, of course, that violence is bad, but
Yes.
it didn't mean that you adopted her point of view about, that there shouldn't be protesters or whatever.
Right. And Myra, that would be probably like the yes and the agree on something but then yes. Okay, Marta is next.
I- It's so masterful. I just love these so much. There's so much contention now that it feels like these could be bedtime stories. I could just watch this role playing on and on and on. I thought you did a great job with the self-discover. Um, you know, Not telling her, gosh, you were young when your parents, you heard this and that. You just listened to her thing and then just said, wow, that's you. So you were 7. Wow, that's pretty young to be thinking about politics. And I thought that was really, really great.
Yes, thank you, Marta. That was definitely an attempt to help her self-discover. Those questions were and comments. Elizabeth, you're next.
I I feel like I'm not up to your level of expertise because the, these are really great skills, and I think you reflected back, you made observations, you shared your personal experience, and I I feel like I don't respond quickly, that I have to think about it first before responding.
Yeah.
Um, I feel you used all the skills um that was that you showed us, but you're right. I really need practice. And the way I see me doing practice is going to neighbor to discuss maybe support of a candidate and why they wouldn't support the candidate, or
Yeah.
you know,
Elizabeth, yeah. So practice, you got to practice. And it's amazing. It probably will become more automatic quicker than you think. And so let me just finish my thought there. Just practice. And I do, recommend practicing with non-political topics first.
hmm,
And I have a friend who also says, I can't figure out what to say. She said, I just ask a question. If she can't, she gets flummoxed. I don't know which one. I don't know what, I know I don't want to, but just ask a question. Just ask a question. That's just
hmm.
a great way to just practice. I do want to keep, let's hear what Beth has to say. I want to keep going for another minute or two.
I think it was sort of hypothetical, but I really liked when you asked, like, what would you do if you had, well, maybe that's hypothetical, and I'm not sure exactly how you put it, but if you had a policeman running toward your car and had a gun or something like that. I also
Yeah.
have a question. Well, this isn't the time, but I asked a question once and it just got me in worse trouble, but it wasn't an open-ended one. It was that's probably the problem.
You can put that question in the chat if we have time. I think we may have time.
Okay.
Let's go to the next slide. This is the breakout room and exercise, and it is to do just what me and Chris did. So you're gonna have 10 minutes for this breakout. You're gonna pick two people to have a conversation. We recommend about 2 minutes for the conversation itself. And you're practicing the 4 skills and the 7 ways, just like me and Chris were. And then once the two people have their conversation, then the group will debrief it just like we did and point out things that you did well, or even maybe some suggestions. Don't be too harsh. And I put a few topics to get you started. I put a couple political ones and ones that were less political. And I don't know how number 4 will go, but I was trying to come up with a common thing that people fight about that is non-political. And so pick any of the 4, just pick one of those 4 topics to kick off your 2-minute conversation. Does anybody have questions about the breakout exercise? Do your best, have fun. I don't see any hands up with questions, so you can send them to their breakout rooms.
Hi. This must be, it's a pretty big breakout room. Are we in a breakout room, Kara?
You may be being sent later. They do the rooms and then the moderators.
Still going, okay.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Melissa. I am let's see. Oh, no, we're not there yet.
You haven't been sent yet, Melissa.
I keep thinking I'm there. Something the gun. Oh my God. Okay. That's what I will do in a conversation like that too, I'm sure. Let's see.
Hello. Do I need to move some people, Rebecca?
Yeah, you have to send the co-hosts to the
Okay,
rooms.
but there's other people out here too.
The only person that's a non-co-host is Nancy Tafoya, and we can just assign her to a room.
Okay.
Also, Eva?
I think she's already been assigned a room, and you just have to
You didn't go there yet.
accept.
Marta's still here.
Yes.
Hi, Nancy's still here, and do I need to do something to get into the room?
We're going to send you to a room.
Okay.
All right, I sent Marta and I think everybody's been assigned.
Chris is still driving, I assume.
Yeah, as far as I know.
So anyone who's still in this main session with us and wants to be in a breakout room, I think you just have to, you might have to click accept or something like that to be sent to a breakout room.
Yeah, because Eric should be in room 5 but hasn't joined. Can I move him there?
No, I think it's on their end to accept or not. Did you set a time for the rooms to close automatically? Doesn't look like it.
I clicked on it. Okay. Again, white on white.
Okay, so it's been probably 3 minutes. So maybe send a reminder for folks to wrap up their conversations and
Had you started keeping time? Because I had 7 minutes. I just broadcast that.
Okay, I'm not in a breakout room, so I don't receive them.
Right. No, I just wondered if you had been keeping time. I was kind of guesstimating.
That's fine with me because we're running long again. I don't know how that happens. But So
Well,
wrap
we didn't get you kicked off at 5 after. You got kicked off at 15 after.
Yeah, we should just, yeah. So I actually think there will be very little time for questions, but we'll see.
Laura, did your message tell people to wrap up their conversation, or did it just say 7 minutes?
I said, hey, everybody, 7 minutes remain.
Okay.
Okay, I gave them the minute warning. Remind me to type those into a document first because the broadcast window keeps closing on me as I'm typing.
So once you hit close all rooms, I think it will take 60 seconds. So you can probably hit it whenever.
Hit closed all rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Done.
Great.
So they'll close in 48 seconds. 40. $20.
Well, thanks everybody. I think they're booting us out, or they already did.
Okay, is everybody back?
I think we're coming back. I'm just going to suggest that the person who was last talking in ours say something shortly. Put your hand up and say something.
Okay.
Oh, I should.
Is everybody, I just asking the moderators, is everybody back? Can we start?
We'll wait for people to come back.
Yep, everybody's back.
Okay, great. We're going to spend a couple minutes and let's, we're running a little short on time. So the timer, I think is Laura. Let's only spend 2 minutes debriefing this. And raise your hand if you want to share what happened in your room, some successes or missteps, whatever you want to share. How did it go?
I just wanted to see if we can get Honora on again because she was just speaking at the end there. Did you want to say something, Honora?
Oh, I was just saying that I think many, my situation is by no means special or unusual. I think it's pretty common for many of us that we have family members that we either can't bear to be with and speak to, just can't stand it, can't cope, can't manage it, don't know what to say, don't want to say anything, tell them to all go. You want to watch Fox for the next 10 years by yourself, go do it, but I'm done. And that's sort of what I did. And now I have to go be with them for this thing. And it's not, I'm considering staying pretty drunk most of the time. I don't know how to do this. It's just,
yeah. Okay,
anyway,
so
I'm not alone in that. There's millions of us like that.
Yes, exactly. I'm gonna just say, use this. My advice is to use some of the skills that we learned, and you know, it doesn't have to be where you cut people out of your life or avoid them or avoid political conversations. I want to encourage you to try on a small level some of these skills and see what happens. Anybody else want to share some things from your breakout session?
Now, my comment's not from the breakout, but what Honora just mentioned, and that is I have a brother-in-law and we disagree, and we just agree to disagree, and we talk about other things most of the time.
When it gets overwhelming, sometimes I have a brother like that too. I say, "Oh, we're about to lock horns. Let's." Then I offer a different question or something like that, and then in the end,
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Beth had her hand up though. And the timer has rung, so I'm gonna call on Beth and then we're gonna wrap up for tonight.
I just had a thought. We had one person in our breakout room seemed to be quite concerned because she doesn't able to answer really quickly. And I know that you can always say, boy, I'd like to take some time and think about that. You don't have to answer quickly. And I have a couple of friends, I told them, you can always answer so quickly. And they said yes. And we've sometimes put our foot in our mouths. So, or whatever, our feet.
Yeah, that was in my group. And, the point that I made was we all feel that way, and it's not,
yeah.
so you don't feel like, you're disadvantaged because it's a difficult thing to have those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks for that point. Yeah, you can not answer, you can avoid it. I have somebody I'm coaching, and I say, just get up. If you don't know what to say and it's causing you stress, you just go to the bathroom. Like, just get out of there for a minute. So it's, go make yourself a drink. Melissa, did you have one more comment? And then we're gonna wrap up. Gotta wrap up.
Oh yeah, the people who did our role play did a really nice job. I'm sure they did in all of them. And it was very much on the spur because people had to kind of suddenly adopt all these, especially the person doing the listening, and did a really wonderful job. And so I just want to thank the people who've done the role plays.
Okay, thank you. I know it can be challenging and hard to do these role plays. The people who've been doing all the sessions seem to be getting better at the role play. Okay, I need to move on. Sorry about that. And I apologize for interrupting a few people. Here is the homework. I did do homework, even though we don't have a clear plan for next time. I have offered to do like just an office hours where it's just Q&A because again, we're out of time and we don't have time for a lot of questions about specific situations that each of you are going through, which I know you have, but I put another video in there. This is Jefferson Fisher again, and then just practice, practice, practice. Next slide, please. Here's my favorite two books if you're a book reader. Same ones we've had the whole time, but if you want to learn more about conversational style and these types of topics, there's a couple books for you. Next slide, please. And this is the Q&A, but we're out of time. And so I apologize. Is there any maybe quick question that I could answer?
Can I'm sorry I didn't raise my hand. However, I want to know about what are the ways that I can go back and try to get the information from the meetings that I missed?
Can you put that question
I can
in the
answer
chat?
that, Kara. I can answer
Okay.
that. So yeah, because I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. So several people in the chat have asked for the slides from the previous sessions. If you look at the slide deck that Rebecca has dropped in the chat several times, it has all the slides. So if you missed a previous session, in the backup section is where the slides are from the previous session. In addition to that, you can actually watch the entire recording on the Northwest Suburbs. So it's Northwest SOPA YouTube. And you can see the session from tonight, but you can also see any of the other 4 sessions. Now, what we were going to do right now, but I'm going to make it real short. I'm just going to make the decision for us.
Okay.
Is we were going to talk about a couple different options for moving forward with this session. So one idea was to repeat the 4 sessions. Like that's one thing that we could do. Another thing that we could do is move to more advanced skills, meaning do what I wish I would have said, 2.0 instead of the 1.0 version. But what I saw in the chat and what I heard in the session is that people need more time to practice the skills and to bring up actual, hey, somebody said this to me, etc. So one of the third option that Kara offered, and I think this is the one that we'll likely do, is that we will have office hours for our sessions coming up in April. And we do already have this session meets every second and fourth Is it second and fourth? Yeah, second and fourth Monday of the month. So we'll just plan for that because we ran out of time tonight to do those detailed questions. So we'll have an opportunity to pick it up there. And I remember Marta saying something like, she heard the role play and said, boy, if I could just play that over in my head as like a bedtime story, going to bed and practice it. I think that that's what many of us need, is just practice over and over, and also the opportunity to see it role played and then practice, role played and then practice. So, with that said, yes, so someone asked for the link. So right above that, Laura put the link to YouTube. So you'll just have to go to YouTube and look specifically for what I wish I would have said. Okay, so we're at the end of time. I really want to use this opportunity to thank Kara. Kara, this session was amazing. The whole series was amazing. People have learned so much. We still have much to learn. Oh, you have your poem, and we're going to try and fit that in, right? Yes.
If you want,
okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's do it. I think we can hang on for a couple more minutes. And also the production team, the people behind the scenes, Rebecca, who does such a beautiful job with the slides, Laura, who learned how to do breakout rooms and is becoming masterful at them, and then our moderators that were in the room. So thank you, everybody, and Bill, obviously, for giving us the opportunity to pull this together. And so we will end the session with Kara sharing her very special original work of her poem.
AI assisted poem. This is
okay.
This takes 3 minutes. So if you're planning, and the AI picked the name of the character in this, which is Mr. Pot, and I did not make that up. But anyways, the sun was too bright and the air was too hot when I sat down to chat with my friend, Mr. Pot. We started on taxes and then on the trees. Then we both got upset and we did not say please. I evaluated his thoughts. I called them all bad and I got very angry, which did not make us glad. I was not very calm. No, I was not calm at all. And I let all my words, like bad apples, just fall. I screamed about two sides, the left side and right, and it turned into quite a loud, terrible fight. But later that night, in my blue, quiet bed, I thought of the things that I wished I had said. I wished I had used my 4 skills to be kind, to guide him to think with a more open mind. I wish I had started by listening close instead of just shouting about what I love most. I wish I had reflected back, as soft as a mouse. It sounds like you feel that it'll burn down your house. I wish I had asked just to see what he'd do. When did this worry first happen to you? I could have said, when do you first recall feeling this way about this specific concern you display? I agree with your thought. It is truly a need, and we could make it better. I think yes, indeed. That's a great idea. Let's make it more strong. Is better than saying, you're wrong, you're all wrong. That'll guide his discovery and not cause a fight. It holds space for us both, making us feel all right. I see what you mean is a thing I could try, instead of just shutting my ears with a sigh. 2 things can be true, I should have said with a nod, instead of acting like I am a god. I wish I had smiled and not felt so sore. 2 things can be true, or even a score. Why, many things are true. Much more than a few. I give you permission to see something new. It's a false narrative I should have spoke clear, that only 2 solutions can exist over here. But oh, how I wish I'd remembered the rules instead of behaving like a loud talking fool. I wish I had looked with a calm, gentle face and remembered to set a much gentler pace. Yes, I wish I had stopped when the air got too hot and waited for calm in my chat with Mr. Pot. Yes, I meant what I didn't say, didn't I? No? but I'll know for the next time I'm ready to go. I'll listen, I'll reflect, and I'll ask to share too. I'll hold a big space for both me and you. When the talk gets too wild, I will take a slow breath and not fight with my friend to the political death. Yes, that's what I'll do. I'll use my new head and say all the things that I wish I would have said.
Tara, that was awesome. That was amazing. And so Marta wanted a bedtime story. Well, there you got
There you
it.
go.
I love it.
Okay, that was great. Well, so thank you everybody for staying so engaged. Our next session is April 13th. So bring those questions and bring those scenarios and we'll practice together and learn together and grow these skills. So thanks again, everybody, and have a good evening.